Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. This is going to be a monthly general reading for the sign of Aries. Hello, Aries. How are you guys doing? So glad you came to view this video. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Just a quick thank you for all those who have subscribed to my channel so far, and returning viewers, welcome back. And even for the new viewers, you're welcome here. I only started this channel about a month ago, and the response that I've gotten so far has been incredibly positive and incredibly welcoming. So I want to thank everybody who sent those energies and those messages to me, and who have given me likes, given me views, left comments, and sent emails and everything like that. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, this is going to be a reading for Aries for your month of May 2018. What I'm going to do is a 6-card spread. You're going to have an overall energy, and you're also going to have an outcome card. And like I did last month, I'm going to shuffle in front of you. I just kind of generally prefer to do that. And I know it might take a while, so please check the description box for a timestamp of when the reading actually begins, if you do not want to see me sit here and shuffle out your spread, okay? So I've gone ahead and meditated on these cards and your energy previously before hitting record. Just going to go ahead and reestablish that connection right now. Then I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to get your spread, and then I'm going to read it. So just sit tight for a second here, Aries. Okay. All right, Aries, I hope you're doing well this month. I hope everything's going good in your lives. Hope April treated you well. I hope May continues to treat you well. And happy birthday to those who are, who had celebrated at the end of April. End of April? Yeah, towards the end of April. Happy birthday to those who had celebrated. Side winding card here. Up or down, please. This way. Thank you. Yeah, I hope everything's going well for you guys. You guys are getting all the birthday wishes that you had, and things are coming to you the way that you want them to. And if they haven't been, I hope that that takes a turn, and I hope that you start to get things that you want, because that's what we're here for, right? A little bit of pain, but hopefully for a little bit more of pleasure. Up or down, please. This way. Thank you. Maybe that was a little extreme, a little bit of pain and pleasure. I don't know if it's necessarily that extreme, but, you know, life can't always be good and can't always be bad, but we're going to hope for mostly good, right? That's kind of what we want. Kind of want things to be mostly good for everybody. Oh, right there. Yep, okay. Slightly up or down, please. Up or down. This way, thank you. All right, Aries, we're looking for your outcome card for May 2018. Just looking for the outcome card. There it is. Okay. If you see it and you recognize it, don't be afraid. There's a good side to that. And the bottom of the deck is going to be your overall energy for May 2018. I'm going to flip these cards. I'm going to tune in, and then I'm going to get into your reading, Aries, and tell you what I see here. Tell you what I see. Okay. Okay. Things are going on for sure. You've got some stuff going on for sure. Where's Aries, please? Where is Aries this month in May 2018? Where's Aries? This? Okay. Is that right? Where's Aries? Yes, okay. All right, Aries, so you're in these two spots here. Where are you mostly, though? 9 of Wands, I think. Okay. All right, Aries, so you come into May 2018 as the Nine of Wands. The wounded warrior, so to speak, right? This guy, he's been through it. He's been through something, right? Which means some of you have been through something very trying, very difficult, very, not necessarily worrisome, but it gives you stress for sure. It kind of exhausts you. It beats you up. It really rattles your cage. And this is more of a defensive posture. So some of you are kind of at like the end of your rope, or you're so tired, you're so over whatever this situation is. And by the way, this can affect any area of your life. So love, romance, partnerships, family, work, whatever, all of the above. So just take the parts that resonate with you, and for the parts that don't resonate, just leave them where they are, okay? But for some of you, or many of you, you're sort of almost at the end of your rope with something. And not in the sense that you're going to give up, because Aries doesn't typically give up on anything, but you do have this desire for it to be over. It's very hard for an Aries to quit anything, especially that you feel that you've invested in something. So you've been invested in a situation, you've been invested with a person or a partnership, and for some of you, you've been invested in something all on your own, but it's just not paying out the way that you had hoped, the way that you had dreamed, the way that you had planned, but you're still clinging to it. So there's sort of like this hard-headedness, sorry to put it that way, but there is that element. And I mean, he does have a bandage on his head, so he's taken a couple of whacks on his skull there. So something has really been clobbering you in the way of, it's exhausted you, it's stressed you out, it's given you a headache, it's given you a heartache for some of you. It's been woeful in many ways, but where other people would have released it, let it go, walked away, thrown in the towel, or even gotten revenge and turned the tables and said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to take my power back, so to speak, and get kind of vengeful with it. You are still sort of going about it the same way, or you've been going through the motions the same way, and it hasn't really served you. I mean, it served you to the point of, I think that you are getting a bigger lesson out of it. You're going to come out with a changed perspective. Yes, I see that coming up, okay? You're going to come out with a changed perspective, but as you come into May, because like I said, this is where you start, you come in and you're just like a dog with a bone, and you are just so sure about where you're standing. I mean, look at that guy. He's sure of where he's standing. He's not standing anywhere else. He's not on the far side of this card. He's not behind those wands. He is right there in the foreground. So you are very well aware of your position in whatever situation you're involved in, whatever scenario this fits into your life. And you are stubbornly going to stay there for the time, for the start of May. You're standing there and you're kind of taking the abuse. If you're being abused, like literally, please God, don't continue to sit in that situation. But in a more figurative way, you're taking the abuse, and that's sort of, I don't want to be all grandstanding, but that might be like your lesson in this in the long run. We'll find out, or you'll find out, because it's not my life. But I feel like some of you are putting yourselves through a hard lesson because you are so set on remaining where you are, sort of like because you have dignity or pride in the situation, particularly pride. Some of you are being way prideful, and you won't let something go, or you won't let something end, or you won't allow yourself to walk away because you've invested so much, or it means so much to you. And that's noble. But if it costs you, and it kind of makes you feel so run down and so dogged and so tired and frustrated, why still continue to invest? Why still continue to be there? That's just an honest question. I don't have an answer for that. But that's something that some of you need to consider. Now, the other place where you are in May, or coming into May, is in the moon reversed. Show it to you there. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this deck, so I'm not going to show it to you upright. So, moon reversed is coming out of a murky situation, coming out of a fog, right? You're starting here. I think you're going to move here. You know, where there was mystery or confusion before, illusion, there will be no more. Or at least that's what you want. Can't say that's what it's going to be. I should phrase it. That's what you want. Here you're like disillusioned. Here you're like clinging to something and you're like, should I continue? And most Aries don't even think about that question for too long. They're like, of course, this is what I want. This is what I said I want. This is what I started and I'm going to finish it. And that's wonderful. That's noble in its own way. But I think some of you are starting to get to the point of, should I really continue to stay here? Should I really be holding so strong onto this? Is it really serving me? Is it really going to get me what I want in the long run if I continue to allow this to be? Some of you are going to start questioning that because you don't want to be confused. The reason that the moon is in reverse is because you don't want to be cloudy. You don't want illusion. You don't want to be doubtful or not have all the pieces, not have all of the clarity that you need in the situation, right? Page of Swords helps you with that. It's not the best way to get clarity, Page of Swords, because it's an immature energy. As far as the court card, it's the lowest in the court cards, right? So it's got that wet behind the ears energy. But the intent is there, because the intent of the sword suit, sword's energy, is to have clarity, to speak truthfully, to have clear communication, right? To be thoughtful and objective. That's the intention. But the execution through the page is not always the best. It can be brash. It can be crass kind of communication. It can be immature communication. It can also be misinformed, because the page sort of doesn't have the patience and the refinement of a queen or a king of swords. The page would go in and sort of swing that sword kind of haphazardly, hoping for the best, but not really planning and plotting for the best. Also, it's an energy card, or it's a card that speaks of observation. Some people call it like the stalker card or like the spy card. I just view it as observation, because that's the other thing about this page. As much as this page can go in swinging the sword haphazardly, the posture of the sword, or the Page of Swords, to me is always like I don't want to swing it. I can swing the sword, but I don't want to swing it. Like insecure, like unsure, hence immature, right? Immature isn't always nanny, nanny, boo, boo, teasing, or, arrogance, or, ignorant and acting without thought. Sometimes immature is literally not having the confidence, not having had the experience before. And so you go in and you act in a way that is not becoming of a person because you haven't done it before. So if you're somebody who hasn't walked away from a situation before, given up on a dream, given up on a project, given up on a relationship, given up on a goal, if you've never done that before, and that might be what you need to do, or it might be an option, if it's not what you need to do, it might be an option for you, you would be kind of unsure of how to approach it. How do I walk away from a job that I've held for the past 20 years? How do I do that? I've never done it because I've been here for 20 years. How do I tell my girlfriend that I don't think we're working out anymore? We've been together for 5 years. That's a long time. We've been together this entire time. We've lived together since the first year. How do I say, I think I want to move out? You've never done it before. So the approach, the rhyme and the reason, not the rhyme and the reason, but the steps it takes to go about finding a new job, or saying that you're in the process of getting a new job, whatever it is, the steps that it takes to break up with someone if you've never broken up with them, the steps that it takes to commit to a new behavior in your life, or to let go of a project. Maybe you've been writing a book for like 10 years, 8 years, 11 years, however long, Very, very arbitrary numbers I just named there. So for some of you, that might be significant. But maybe you've had a creative project that you've clung to, but, you know, through the passage of time, maybe the subject of that book or the initial seed of that idea behind your book, behind your creative project has changed. In 10 years, let's say you're 35 years old. When you started that when you were 25, you were a totally different person. So how could that book in all of its entirety be the same thing that you wanted it to be when you were 25? How could that still be the same final product that you would want when you're 35? Since you've accumulated all this life experience, how you would go about even finishing the book, creating the characters, etc., is slightly different. So that's what I mean, is like this page is that observing energy, or that hesitancy, might even be a hesitancy for some of you, because you don't know how to approach it. What you need to do, if it's about relinquishing, if it's about letting go, if it's about walking away, if it's about accepting that someone else has walked away, or if it's accepting that someone else wants to change the project that you're working on with them. Maybe it's a co-authorship on the book, and your co-author has new ideas for the book. It's the idea of having to negotiate this newness. You have to sit back and observe. You have to sit back and think about it. You have to plot it a little bit. You have to run down the options. You know, in Aries, you're a fire sign. So pulling back on those reins, telling the horse to whoa, you know, instead of going at a full gallop, now you need to trot. Okay? That's not normally how Aries likes to function. Aries is a go, go, go kind of energy. My way, my way, my way, my speed, my pace. Stubbornly, sometimes. So when you have to divert that energy or change that course, it can be a little jarring. But the what you want is greater than these two. Because this is a major arcana card, right? Even though it's reversed, it's still, as far as like influence goes, or as far as like energy goes, this is a major arcana. These two are just minor arcana. Oh, I love that crescendo of music, that like swell of music that just happened there. It's so dramatic. Like this little corner here is pretty dramatic. You know, and I think it's kind of, like I said, it's taken some of you to this breaking point, or to this huge turning point, because what you want is this clarity. You want whatever's been foggy and in some cases deceptive, in some cases an illusion, in some cases a delusion. You want all of that to stop. You don't want to be tired anymore, and you don't want to be feeling like your head's constantly in a fog. And for some of you, like you're not progressing, that you're stuck, that you have sort of hit a plateau in your life. You're tired of that. You want more. You either want more, like you want to go up, you want to like, you want to sort of climb that corporate ladder for some of you, or to climb a ladder in your home life, to go to the next level with your partner, to go to the next level in terms of your family. Or for others of you, it's about expansion, opening up doors, broadening horizons. And you need to have a certain amount of self-control and self-awareness involved in that. And Aries is pretty self-aware and self-controlled. But that scope, or the the scale in which you can see, or excuse me, the scale on which your self-awareness or your perspective is kind of narrow. Like you're aware. How can I put this? Like, how can I put this? I think, okay, it's not the best, but this is what I get. It's sort of like you're aware that you're playing baseball. Like, I want to play baseball. That's the game I want to play. You're aware that you're playing, but you're playing on like a playground field or like a little league field. Not saying that what you're doing is small, but you're well aware of first base, second base, third base, home base, the pitcher's mound, all of that. You know the layout of the baseball field, but you're not aware of how small your awareness is if you compare it to the size of, say, a baseball stadium. The layout is the same. There's always a first base, a second base, a third base, home, mound, outfield, whether it's a little league field or a stadium. The layout is the same. It's just the perspective. How much further you have to run between the bases increases if your perspective increases. So this is like, and that's not necessarily the best analogy, but I apologize. That's what I could come up with. That's kind of what hit me in my visual, and I couldn't explain it. Like, I just kept seeing someone who thinks they're running a mile when really you've only run half a mile. And how could that be? Because maybe the track that you're on, you make 2 laps and that's an accomplishment to you, but that's only half a mile. If you go to another track, which when you run, what would that be, 4? Then you run a whole mile. You see what I mean? So I think it's this idea, like I said, of expansion, where previously you're well aware of how long it takes you to go from first base to second base to third base on the little league diamond. You could clock that easily. You take it to a professional baseball field, you have to run so much longer or so much faster to accomplish the same thing. So there's this idea of, not to say that what you've been working on or what you've been dealing with is small or insignificant or isn't as grand as compared to someone else's. No, this is about you. You've accomplished so much within this small diamond, this small little league diamond. Imagine what you have to do and imagine how much more you can do if you change your perspective into a stadium. It might take you longer to run around the bases to hit a home run or to clock a home run on the scoreboard, but you still can do it. The mechanics are the same. Hit the ball, run, don't get tagged out. That the rules of the game are essentially the same. It's just your output and your perspective have to change. So, getting back to the damn cards, you need temperance to do that. You need to be aware of what you're doing now, what you've done in the past, and what you need to do to ensure this bigger, brighter, broader, more expansive future that you want, that has clarity. Maybe there's been a fog around your little league diamond for the past 10, 15, 20 years of your life. And with the fog lifting, you realize, oh man, I thought I was playing little league. No, I'm playing big league. I'm Major League Baseball right now. That's what I mean, is with clarity that you want it, right? These 3 cards are saying you want that progression. You need to find balance or use balance, and then you'll see that bigger perspective. Your field of vision will be open. You also need to do some healing with that because it's difficult. Right here, I can see that's difficult, and even here and here, this is difficult. What you've been going through, what you've been dealing with, how you've behaved, or how others have behaved towards you. Whatever. It's not been a cakewalk. It's not been easy. And it will not be easy. And you're not afraid of hard work, so I don't need to tell you to buck up and get you and dig down deep. I don't need to tell you that. You already do that. You're already a hard worker. You're already somebody who likes to see it through to the end. It's just a matter of you have to expand on what your end is. Like I said, for some of you, you've been at that job for 20 years. At some point, you thought that was it. This is the end. Not in a doomsday, dreary kind of way, but no, this is where I'm going to tap out at. I'm going to clock another 20, 30 years here, and I'm going to get my little retirement plan, and blah, 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 blah. But then you realize, no, I want more than this. Or there's got to be more out there for me in terms of money, in terms of job satisfaction, in terms of benefits, in terms of mobility within the company, whatever. Maybe some of you are even leaving the idea of working for someone else and you want to start a business. Whatever it is. This idea of there has to be more. You thought you were satisfied because you stuck to it. But now you realize, no, that was an illusion. My idea of satisfaction for the past 2 years in this relationship was an illusion. Whether you were fooling yourself or your partner was fooling you or telling you things that weren't truthful, whatever the situation is, you're coming out of that fog. And with the energy of temperance, you need to be balanced. Now, what does that mean? Don't blame yourself. Don't blame the other people involved. Everybody takes a part of the blame. That's balance. That's temperance. There's that realization that while you heal, okay, think of it this way. You're a kid and you're playing outside and you fall down and you scrape your knee on the pavement, right? Who do you blame? You can't totally blame yourself because you didn't intend to fall. You didn't intend to hurt yourself. Wasn't what you set out to do while you were playing with your friends in the neighborhood, right? And you can't blame the pavement because it's just there. It's the circumstance, it's the world that you live in, where if you fall and you're wearing shorts or you don't have a long sleeve shirt on or you fall on your palms, which is to me the worst. Whatever it is, the ground is there, the pavement is there. So you can't blame the pavement because it serves its purpose as far as being there as opposed to, a mound of dirt or a muddy pile or whatever. And you also, oh my God, what was I going to say? What? Wow, I can't remember because there was a third element involved there. But my point is you can't blame yourself for falling and you can't blame the ground for being there because essentially it stopped you from falling even further. It wasn't like you fell into water where you could have possibly drowned, or it wasn't like you fell somewhere else and you could have been hurt even more badly. You fell and you scraped your knee. That sucks. It hurts. So that's the idea, is it's partially you. You need to be more careful, maybe you tripped over your own shoelace, whatever. And the ground is hard. It wasn't like you were running on grass, which wouldn't have hurt you as badly. You just kind of accept that both elements in the situation caused the pain, caused the discomfort, caused you to have a scar on your leg, Neither side, and one is an inanimate object, so I apologize for that part of it, but neither side, no matter how this plays out in your life, is to blame. Because, let's say, again, in the job scenario, you've been there for 20 years. Okay, you dealt with that for 20 years, and you shouldn't fault yourself for that. I could have been out 8 years ago looking for this new job. Why did I wait so long? Don't blame yourself, because for those 8 years, you've had a steady income, you've had the ability to pay your bills, you've had the ability to pay for things that you want in your life, you've attained new job titles there, maybe you've been promoted a time or two, right? You've had good reviews, good bonuses, whatever it is. So it wasn't all bad, those 8 years that you were there, where you're like, oh, if I had left 8 years ago, I could have already been such and such in another company. Or if you're starting your own business, I could have already had this business. The timing of it, be grateful. Don't blame yourself for not doing something sooner. Be aware that you're ready now. Okay? But don't have sort of this victim mentality of, I set myself up. I betrayed myself. I didn't listen to myself. I should have listened to my own instincts and gone out sooner. Who's to say if you left 8 years ago to do whatever you were going to do or whatever you wanted to do now 8 years ago, who's to say it would have succeeded? Who's to say it wouldn't have turned out poorly? That you wouldn't have fallen and hurt yourself even worse Instead of falling on the pavement, maybe you fell into a rock quarry and broke your neck. That would be way worse. So let's be sort of grateful for what you have had until this point. It served you up until this point. Now you've reached this pinnacle point where it's not serving you anymore. So then you get into these two. The motivation behind this. Okay? Your reading is kind of, if you had watched your video or any other videos for April, is kind of backwards. Your starting points are here, these three, and your exit points are here. And that's the way I read my spreads for general readings. That's the way I do it. Or, well, whenever I do this 6-card spread. Anyway, I think there's a transformative thing going on here. It's a little reactionary as opposed to response. I don't recall if I talked to you guys about that last month or not. I can't remember who I talked to about that. Kind of reactionary as in, like, because you've gotten to the end of your rope, you kind of want to do you kind of want to pull a 180 and be like, I'm out. I'm leaving today. You know? So that job you've been at for 20 years, instead of like the 2-week notice or even like a 3 or 4-week notice, you're like, okay, I'm going Tuesday. And they're like, it's 11 a.m. on Monday. What do you mean Tuesday? Like tomorrow? Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. Like there's this sort of idea that some of you may want to get out quickly. Because you've been here for so long, you want to rush and get the hell out of there. And these two energies will slow you down. And I think that's wise. Now, where are you headed? You're headed towards the Fool and the Ten of Cups. First, the Fool. So this is all about new beginnings. This is all about new journeys, right? Seeing a cliff, walking right off the cliff because you have the confidence, you have the belief, the faith. You have done the sort of unthinkable and kind of left it up to the fates, and you're just going to walk off this cliff. And whatever happens, happens. But you feel like you're going to be successful. You feel that you're going to go on this brand new journey. And it's up from here. That upward ascent, right? That's great. That's great. If you've been here, this is wonderful. You need this. Because this means you've been dedicated, right? To a fault, maybe, for some of you. This 9 of Wands energy. You've been dedicated to something that has worn you down. As much as it served you and it's going to give you that balance, it's going to give you that perspective of it wasn't all that bad, it has felt pretty damn bad. And when you get to the Fool energy, nothing about the Fool feels bad. The Fool is all about yes. Yes to everything. Yes to new chances. Yes to new opportunities. The idea of progression, the idea of newness, of starting a new cycle, starting in on a new adventure. Yes, yes, yes. And I think that it's found in this 10 of Cups energy. Now, 10 of Cups traditionally is talking about happy families. So for some of you, this is a reinvention, a reestablishment, or like a reshuffle of your family life. So maybe for some of you, it's been you didn't want to have kids. But now you're kind of thinking, okay, maybe I do want kids. Maybe it's time to have kids. And so you're kind of coming into it a little defensive. Okay, let's start to try, honey. Beautiful baby, love of my life. I think I'm ready to start our family. I think I'm ready to expand on that. Now, you don't want to rush into that. You do want to parse out the details, work out how and when and how's it going to work and what can we afford financially? Do we have the right house right now? Do we need to move to a bigger house? And that definitely would come into play if you were living in an apartment. You definitely might want to think about getting a house if you're going to start a family. That's just my opinion, though. So there's this idea of being stuck, but not like running like out the gate You want to walk through the gate. There's like a gingerly walk with the Fool. He doesn't run, he walks off the cliff, right? Don't run off the cliff. Now, again, back to this happy family thing. So, for some of you, it's the idea of, I do want kids now. Let's go for it. Got to temper that energy. You don't want to give fully into your partner who's been on you for the past, however long, trying to say, let's have kids, let's have kids. Don't jump into it at their pace. Find a middle ground. Find a balance. Basically, look, honey, I think we can have kids. I think I'm ready, but we're not going to be going at it like rabbits in here, okay? Let's go ahead and get one of those ovulation monitoring apps, and let's really just go by that, because I don't want to, this is just me. I did have a friend, not an Aries, but I did have a friend who didn't want kids and then finally agreed to have kids, and they went at it gung-ho, you know what I'm saying? They went at it gung-ho with their partner. And by the time they did get pregnant, there was a sourness to the pregnancy because they had been having sex so much that there was resentment from the partner who was reserved. Like, okay, are you happy now? Now that we're pregnant, are you happy? Like, there was that the joy of getting pregnant was eclipsed by all of the pressure to have sex, basically. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry about that. The opera station always plays that one song, and it's very loud. Now, right, so there was this joy that was kind of eclipsed out of this friend of mine who became pregnant, because there was such an emphasis on having sex and like increasing the act of sex in order to get pregnant. That wasn't balanced. That wasn't taken. Not like you have to be so prescriptive, like, oh baby, it's the 7th of the month and you're ovulating, let's go have sex now. It's not like that. You don't have to do it that way. But you also don't have to, not that I was in their business, this friend of mine, but you also don't have to have sex every day. Just kind of be more open to it. So for some of you, if your partner or you are on the pill, you'll come off of the pill and let your sex life be what it may, right? Maybe you're using other forms of protection. You'll stop using them. That's balanced. You don't necessarily have to go at it like rabbits, because like I'm just saying that as a personal anecdote. I've seen it go the other way where, yeah, now we're pregnant and we're going to have a child and we're going to start a family like we agreed on, but the way in which we got here, somebody ended up feeling a little resentment. And you don't want that if we're talking about expanding your family. Now, where things get a little complicated, and it doesn't have to be family. Before I go to those two cards, it doesn't have to be family, the 10 of Cups thing. I'm just saying that's the traditional understanding, is happy family, right? It's essentially dreams come true. The 9 of Cups is your wishes come true. 10 of Cups is more like your dreams come true. So, like I said, this is a pivotal, turning point for a lot of you Aries out there, where you thought you had your dream, and the definition of your dream is changing. It's expanding. It's altering in some kind of way. For others of you, it might be reducing. Like it might be the removal of something, or the tapering down of something. For others of you, it's the ramping up of, or it's the expanding of, or it's the newness of something. Now, whatever your situation is, family, work, personal, friends, wherever this applies, if it does, your outcome for May is the 10 of Swords. So for some of you, even though I've said, and even though you might have other readings that say, or you might have this inkling in yourself, some of you are not going to get into this temperance energy, which I think is very critical. This sort of taking it slow. Not diving off the deep end, but not shooting out of the gate. 10 to, 0 to 100 in 10 seconds, whatever that is. Some of you are going to go so fast and not be balanced, not seek balance, not seek healing. Just kind of, like I said, this is like a severe breaking point for a lot of you. And many of us would be hard pressed to not just say, F it, do a 180 and walk out the door, or go, driving off into the sunset, whatever it is. So for those of you where you do that, you might end up here with the Ten of Swords. You might end up with a little bit more pain and more frustration, more of a feeling of being disappointed or disheartened than if you had sort of slowed down and tempered your energy and kind of sought balance, right? This is a very personal reading. Like, when I say that, I mean that I'm not really seeing that many other people here, if any. Like, maybe in the Ten of Cups, for those of you where this is a family issue situation, so that's spouse, that's children, that's in-laws, what have you. I feel all of this is you in the top here and here. Like, this whole L shape here, I don't really see anybody else. So it might be that by the end of May or thereabouts, you haven't completely achieved what you wanted to achieve. You haven't gotten the reward that you want to. And so that might be disappointing. That might be the cause of this Ten of Swords, where you thought something would pay out by a certain time or after a certain period, and you're going to feel disappointed. You're going to feel like you didn't get what you sought out to get. Partnerships. I want to see what's going on with partnerships, because, like I said, I don't really see that many other people, but when we get to here and here, there's this idea of other people interjecting. Or not interjecting, but possibly being involved, possibly being in the mix, especially with the Five of Swords is the overall, right? So partnerships here in the main spread. All right, so since this is a reading for Aries, you do have Temperance, and you do have the Moon card here, and that's Temperance is the card of Sagittarius, and the Moon card is the card of Pisces. So some of you might be dealing with people who are Sagittarius or Pisces, or have those signs significantly somewhere in their chart. And if that's the case, I think the person who would be the Sagittarius energy, or the Temperance energy rather, that person would be beneficial to you. And the Moon card, the Pisces person, or the Pisces energy, would be slightly detrimental to you. Now, what do I mean by that? Whoever the Pisces person might be, or the idea of this Pisces energy being reversed, as much as it's the clarity that you seek, because when the moon is in reverse, it does indicate coming out of these muddied waters, these unclear waters. If it is representing a person, I would think that this person is presenting you with a clarity, a truth, a dissolving of an illusion that's hard for you to receive. It would come across here into the Page of Swords. So let's say it's someone that you work with. Let's say it's someone that has an understanding of your situation. And they give you a perspective, or they reveal something to you that they've known, or that they have kept from you, or that they were in full knowing of, but for some reason never expressed to you. When that is expressed to you, it gives you clarity. It dissolves illusions, but it also kind of puts you in this defensive energy of the Page of Swords that I mentioned earlier, where you might haphazardly start swinging at it. Like, you will feel defensive, you will feel the need to be on guard, even though it's the truth that you want. It's like a weird thing. It gives you incredible clarity. There would be no way to misconstrue what's being expressed to you from this person. And maybe even this person, since it comes underneath the Temperance card. So there's a possibility for that too. But whatever you learn, if this is involving another person, for the majority of you, I feel this is like internal energy. It's within you. It deals with your perspective, your mindset, your opinion, not your opinions, but this self-reflective thing that you're doing, self-evaluation that you're doing. Now, when this person says what they need to say, gives you the truth, is able to shine a light where there was darkness, you will, at the same time that you're essentially being set free, so to speak, you also are kind of bitter. For some of you, vengeful. For some of you, hurt. For some of you, feeling backstabbed by this person's bit of information, this revelation from whoever this external person is, or external people if it's more than one person, potentially. Okay? But the message that I said earlier would remain. You still need to tap into that Temperance energy. Not the person who might be carrying it, not a Sagittarius, so to speak, but this idea that if someone does give you a message or tells you something and it's a truth that you kind of can't appreciate at the moment, give yourself time. Of course, you need to feel what you're going to feel, but in the long run, you've got to understand that that message sets you free. Maybe you didn't want to be set free, or at least you don't. Maybe, like I said, some of you are clinging on to something that you don't need to cling on to. And that might to this Five of Swords energy. If you cling on to this, who's winning? You know, because this is about petty squabbles, right? This is about a fight where nobody's the winner, a disagreement, an argument, a battle of wits, a battle of minds and opinions, where you say your piece, they say their piece, and you're both right because you're both speaking in your own truths, but sometimes two truths repel each other. They can't exist next door to each other, or they can't work together because you feel what you feel, they feel what they feel, and you both feel you're right, and neither is willing to negotiate, neither is willing to compromise. So where do you go from there? You have to walk away. You have to agree to disagree. So, for those of you where there's other people involved, here and here, that's definitely where that's going to play in. Somebody has a position that either opposes yours or contradicts with yours, doesn't meld with yours, and you may have to walk away from that person, that circumstance. You may have to let their opinions rest, not engage with them, have them not engage with you, whatever it is. But the outcome for you, Aries, or excuse me, not the outcome, but the goal for you, Aries, is to be here in the Fool, in the Ten of Cups. Don't lose sight of that, even if someone gives you a truth that kind of blows you out of the water. Kind of knocks you for a loop, takes you for a loop, or however you say that. You may be hurt by it, but you're not going to be defeated by it. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze, and I didn't want to sneeze in your ear. Okay, so if you are dealing with another person or other people who may or may not have a significant part in your life, regardless, there's this idea of letting go. Here, and a little bit in the Moon card. And those all three are major arcanas. But this Nine of Wands, and remember, you're partially here too. You want clarity. You want things to be without illusion and disillusion. You don't want to be living in a fog. You want the fog to be lifted. So if it is lifted and you see something that you're not happy with, be prepared to be the Fool Be prepared to be the Temperance card. Find balance. Start out on a new journey. But don't be vengeful, potentially, with the Page of Swords. And even if you are backstabbed, even if you go through some pain, Ten of Swords also talks about the worst is over. I had to sneeze again. I apologize. The worst is over with the Ten of Swords. Okay? So for some of you, the revelation or the truth from a person might be, if they're a business partner or there's someone close to you, someone close to your finances, maybe they stole from you. That's terrible. It's not easy news. Would make you feel vengeful. But if you have balance, if you realize what they took from you didn't impact you so much as you still were able to pay your bills, you still could go on vacation when you wanted to, you still could provide for your family, all of that stuff. It's not pleasant to be told someone took something from you without your knowledge. That's not pleasant. But, like I said, the perspective has to be balanced. And you kind of have to have a bigger perspective, a more expanded perspective to understand. You hurt me by taking something from me without asking. You hurt me because you didn't tell me for so long. But this is where we are today. We're still friends. We still have shared great memories, even though, 2 years ago you stole $500 from me. Or you took something that was worth $500, or you stopped me from getting more money. Whatever it is. If some of you are in relationships, they tell you they don't want to be with you anymore. Or 7 years ago they slept with someone else in a one-night stand. Arbitrary things I'm throwing out here. But whatever it is, if you are still together with them at this moment, and you've had good memories from that moment of infidelity up until today, it hurts to know you slept with someone else, that you don't want to be with me anymore. But look at what we had between that point and now. We've had good memories. The truth hurts. Sometimes the truth hurts, Aries. But it's not going to kill you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to defeat you. The worst part of it is over. It wasn't an affair. It was a one-night stand. We can't be together anymore because I'm not in love with you anymore, but look at all the wonderful memories that we have. Look at all the great friendships that we have. Look at all the support that we've offered to each other up until this point. It's not going to kill you, Aries. Whatever this person or people may reveal to you, whatever truth that you come to, whatever clarity that you get, as long as you remain here and realize that those are sort of your goals, or that's sort of the path that you're walking right now, you're going to be all right. You will be all right. All right? Okay, so I'm going to end it here. Thank you, Aries, for watching up until this point. I hope that there's been a message here or two that have resonated with you. If so, please comment below. I'd love to hear what's going on in your lives, how you're dealing with things, how things are falling out for you, or shaking out for you, I should say. Again, check the description box below if you're interested in having a personal reading with me. There's steps in how to get that going. And also, please go ahead and like and share and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in another month when I come back and I do your June general readings. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Bye.